Thomas entered the station wagon, while the rest of the family waited outside of the vehicle. Turning the car on, Thomas tried to back out of the angled parking spot by the curb. The car did not move. Climbing out, he looked down at the tires, expecting a flat, but there was none. Instead, he found that the tires had sunk into the heat of the softened pavement and were beginning to climb up the sides of the softening tires. Hello, welcome to In My Words. The book I am reading from is titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles. This book is not intended for young readers. After each reading session, I will briefly give information about a chosen plant. I hope through my words you will gain insight, knowledge, and a deeper appreciation and understanding of this mysterious and intricate world. Though the road may be long and hard, compassion and beauty can be gained through the enjoyment of nature and experiencing its wondrous gifts. Thank you for joining me. Chapter 19, Family Vacation. Every year, Thomas made sure that the family had a vacation. It really didn't matter where they went or what they did, as long as they spent time together as a family. This year, they were going back to the Badlands of South Dakota. Jane was looking forward to this vacation. Even though the last time they were in the Badlands, it had turned out so very painful. Although Jane was still quite meek, there seemed to be an inner strength beginning to grow from somewhere deep inside her. The drive to South Dakota began. The day was quite hot, and the roads turned into shimmering lakes. By midday, it was so hot that Thomas actually pulled the car off the road to stop at a small town grocery mart. The entire family exited the vehicle and entered into the relief of the air-conditioned store. Swift strides brought Thomas to an ice cooler near the back of the store. Reaching into the chest, he pulled out an ice cream sandwich. Seeing his family in tow, he said in muttered tones, "Grab yourself something cold, but only one thing each." Without hesitation, the children and Mom complied. Everyone was so hot that no one really wanted to complain or even talk. The large family walked up to the counter while Dad paid for their cool treats. "Hot out today, isn't it?" Steve, the clerk, said as he received the money from Thomas. "Yeah, suppose so," Thomas replied mindlessly. 5 minutes later, they were walking back to their car. The moment they left the store, the frozen treats began melting and running down their arms. As quickly as possible, they ate what was left of their treats. Reaching into the steaming car, Mom handed the children a rag to wipe their arms with and remove the sticky substances which clung tightly to their body. Thomas entered the station wagon, while the rest of the family waited outside of the vehicle. Turning the car on, Thomas tried to back out of the angled parking spot by the curb. The car did not move. Climbing out, he looked down at the tires, expecting a flat, but there was none. Instead, he found that the tires had sunk into the heat of the softened pavement and were beginning to climb up the sides of the softening tires. Calling out to his family, Dad said, "Go back inside the store. I'll come and get you when the car is out." Dad wasn't upset when speaking his words. He was just hot. Seeing a young man crossing the small street as his family went back into the store, Thomas called out to him, "Hey, can you give me a hand? My damn car is stuck in the pavement." The lanky man walked toward Thomas. The man smiled a friendly smile as he approached, saying, "Yeah, you're really stuck. I'll go and grab a couple of boards from Steve and be right back." Thomas nodded his approval as he watched the man enter into the store he had just left. A moment later, the man came out with the boards in his hands. "How about if I put it under the front tires and let you know when you try to back up?" Thomas nodded. The man signaled, and the car easily was relieved from its confines. "Thanks," Thomas called out with a wave of his hand to the helpful stranger. Nodding, the young man continued his walk down the almost barren street. Now that the station wagon was out of the rut made by the heat of the day, Thomas quickly entered the store with the boards in his hand. "You ready?" Dad called out to his waiting group, not really expecting an answer. As the family piled out of the small store, Thomas walked over to Steve and handed him the boards, saying, "Thanks." "You're welcome. Stop by on your way back home, if you like," Steve said with a smile. Pausing for a moment, Thomas asked, "How effing hot is it outside?" Turning around from his current task of restocking the shelves, Steve smiled, replying calmly, 112 degrees, and that's in the shade." Thomas made a humph sound and walked outside into the blinding light of the day, saying to his red-faced family, "Let's go before the effing car gets stuck in the road again." All piled back into the car and continued on their way to South Dakota. When they reached the national park, they set up their family-sized tent and swiftly went to bed. During this trip, they went to Dinosaur Park, Storybook Island, Reptile Gardens, and Bear Country. The family's vacation had gone quite well. No one argued and no fights happened. As the vacation was coming to an end, Sarah felt happy to have had a fun and uneventful vacation. It almost felt like Christmas. Today's highlighted plant is Goto Kola. It's spelled Gotokola. Goto Kola is a member of the parsley family. The whole plant is used medicinally as a tincture or a tea. As always, I am only giving information for you to discover the many different types of flora and fauna in this amazing world. So do your own research before using any plant medicinally. I have not been medically trained in any type of school, so do your research. Anyways, this plant is said to help with inflammation. It has been used as a laxative, a diuretic, antiseptic, and for some may help with disruptive sleep patterns. It has been said that it helps accelerate healing time with tissues in the body without producing excessive collagen. It's also noted that it helps with reducing the effects of aging. Goto Kola has been used to treat varicose veins. It has been said that leg discomfort and circulation, including burning, swelling, heaviness, and even throbbing of the legs, were decreased when ingesting Goto Kola. As a side note, it was once also used to treat leprosy. This herb is easy to grow, but cannot handle too much cold. So northern regions, unless protected from cold winds and snows, such as in a greenhouse, perhaps even a heated greenhouse, would have great difficulty growing this plant. Goto Kola is used as a tea, has been added to salads or eaten raw. I have only used this herb as a tea, so I don't know what it would taste like eating it raw or in a salad. So today's highlighted plant is Goto Kola. Please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to having you join me again next time, where I will highlight another plant, and I will continue to read from the book titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles, which you can purchase from Amazon.com. Thank you for having joined me.